It's good morning, Christopher Sellers. Thank you for returning to Yellow Shelf.
Hey Joe, thanks for having me back. Lovely to see you.
We were just reminiscing. You were my first ever podcast host interview way back when I was in my early days.
I do
And
remember.
you're
Yeah,
returning. You're returning to the Yellow Shelf, this time as an author. This is your second book.
it
So
is.
it's your first time on Yellow Shelf as an author. Congratulations, your new book, Why Smart People Aren't Creative. Christopher,
Mhm.
what do we need to know about this new book?
Well, if you ever had an idea, it's the what I'm breaking down is the challenge of like when ideas meet investment. So there's the fun anecdote of how Apple was passed on once in-house at Atari and then five times at Hewlett Packard. So in hindsight, you go like, how would you miss something like that? The golden opportunity. But on the other hand, we have projects like the Segway, which were funded for 100 million and failed spectacularly. So even though, like in hindsight, these things seem obvious, I'm making the case like it's not a 2020 hindsight thing. It's a question of like when ideas meet investment, how do we validate like
Hmm.
what's a quality idea worthy of that, and what perhaps isn't. And unfortunately, statistically, the segue is the norm. We see 90% of startups that fail. We see, I think it's PwC did a report, no, McKinsey did a report on over 90% of executives are dissatisfied with their own company's innovation.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of making the case that we have two spheres of influence on the Venn diagram. One is your ability to generate like high value ideas, and second is your ability to validate those ideas when they're put in front of you, because often it's very, very difficult to assess something that you've never seen before. So if I've got 100 million, I'm going to want to be sure that I'm not investing in the next segue.
Yeah. And Chris, you are an expert in this space. You've made a
Mm,
profession out of this. You're a thought leader. Like I said, you're an author and podcast host in this space. And you do consulting work in that
yeah.
executive world. So and you've written this book. Tell us what inspired you to write the book. Why does the world need this book now, Christopher?
It's funny. I wrote it out of frustration. Because similarly, like we were just talking off camera. Like I designed a fintech in 2023, and at first we were in line for 10 million worth of funding with in-house investors in Sweden, and that amazingly skyrocketed to 100 million over 10 years with the United Nations. And then if you know anything about the United Nations, it gets dragged out for months and something in this case like over a year.
Yeah.
And even after approaching individual VCs, I got really, really frustrated with waiting and the screwing around basically. And so, to be honest, I had some concept in my back pocket, but I think the emphasis was this is a great idea that can significantly change things. Why can't y'all see it? And this is something that I've run into time and time again, working in with the corporate crowd and different sort of spheres. So that's where it came from. It's I personal frustration.
The best books are written in that space.
Always that sort of inspiration. Yeah,
Yeah. And Christopher, tell us, you've got a fabulous website. So
yeah.
when you go to your website, it's all about, your work and your books, your previous book and your podcast.
Mm.
Tell us the best way to connect with you. I'll put this in the show notes. So for anyone around the world curious about your new book or your work in general, where do we go? How do we find you?
Sure thing. Thank you. The website is CSSellers.com. So that's my primary website. If you're interested in the books, there's a tab at the menu at the top. Just go to the books tab. You get all the books there. Why Smart People Aren't Creative is being released on March 10th. So you're a little bit early. You got a bit of a preview of the first couple of chapters. In the meantime, if you happen to hear this by then, I'm also running a free course, an enhancing ideation course for free up until the book launches. So if you're interested in how you might think differently or how you can generate higher quality ideas and then validate those ideas, I've got a free course there that you can take and you can try it for yourself. So that aligns really, really well with the book. And if you're interested in this sort of thing, then maybe give it a try.
Yeah, look, I'll put that in the show notes to make it easy for anyone
Perfect.
to connect with you. I should probably mention, Chris, you did say I got a bit of a scoop on this interview, so thank you. And I
Yeah.
also was reading your chapter about school in the book.
Yeah.
And I'm a mother. I have kids in school, so it was
Yes.
really this book isn't just for the world of corporate. This is for parents. This is for humans who are just really interested in creativity.
I'd be interested to get your take on it actually as going through school yourself and also as a mother, because for those who don't know, there's an argument, there's a very popular argument that schools kill creativity. And I suggest in this chapter that it's not entirely true for a whole bunch of reasons. But that's why I'd be really, really interested to get your take on how did you find it?
Yeah, look, and it's fair to say my oldest has just started high school. So
Right, right,
having
right.
read this, Chris, I mean, I'm mindful that yeah, she's going to take that step in high school. We're going to focus on the value subjects of what's going to
Yeah,
get her a job in the future. But as a parent, I don't necessarily want that. I don't. I'm
interesting.
okay. So yeah, I'm very early in that journey, but I went upon reading that chapter, I was like, wow, this is for parents too to think about, what's next for the next generation and our kids.
Yeah, there was a big there's been a lot of interest in the education space as well, especially with the first book, Applied Creativity, that really got taken up, which was really, really interesting. And similarly with this one, there's a really nice testimonial from Paul Watkins who lays this book out as like an operational, it takes what is it? It takes creativity out of the realm of the esoteric and into the operational. This is a functional handbook on building the skill of creativity and using it to drive outsized returns, which I thought I was really, really pleased that he could give that because that's what I wanted to do. Like creativity often has this esoteric, sort of fluffy, vibey thing. I was like, well, yeah, that's for amateurs, but for professionals who want to consistently generate new ideas and push innovation, there needs to be a skill set and a process in place. And I think hopefully that's what I've laid out for people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chris, thanks for joining us. Somehow I know I'm going to get you back on in the future.
I'd
I'll
love it, Joe.
some reason. I love talking to you. I love supporting you. Good luck with the book. I'll put all the info
Thank
in the
you.
show notes and good luck at your launch in March.
Thanks, Jojo. Looking forward to coming back for lucky number three.
Absolutely. See you, Chris.
Ciao.
Bye.